I don't know how this is not a lesser to evil. Like, who are you? Like, how do you like these?
It's a hard ticket at the movies.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Hard Ticket, the show where we go to the movies expecting a double feature, only to find that both movies are playing at the exact same time. So now we have a hard ticket to choose between the two. I'm Jeffrey Bogus.
You. I'm Tristan Moore.
What's the? I don't get what the problem is.
What's the problem, Jeff? What do we do? What's going on this week? What's this all about?
You're gonna tell me that you didn't enjoy watching either of these two movies.
We're back to doing our regularly scheduled programming. We're not doing horror films anymore. But Jeff decided to pick an episode that would be personally horrifying.
Okay, here's how I sold him on this one, guys. I said when we get towards the end of the year, we should start covering movies that came out during 2025 to kind of fuel our end of year retrospective. And then we had some developments where we scheduled some guest appearances, and all the other potential matchups kind of fell through the cracks, except for this one, which does feature a 2025 release that I am personally very excited to talk about. And that's how I push this crap past the radar that is my co-host, Tristan Moore.
Yeah, you did. It is crap. Option number A. I'll introduce option number A. The first turd on our list is
hold on.
is a 2023 film called Strays, directed by Josh Greenbaum. This is a comedy. Is this a comedy?
know it's a comedy. You know what it is.
We're definitely gonna have a lot of laughs talking about it. It stars Will Ferrell, Jamie Foxx, Isla Fisher, Randall Park, and Will Forte. This is Strays is a movie about a dog that is abandoned by his owner. This dog named Reggie, played by Will Ferrell, and he encounters a bunch of other dogs, stray dogs, and it becomes a titular stray, and he has to find his way back to his abusive owner, Doug, played by Will Forte. Along the way, Reggie learns that, because he's a dog, right? He has this like misplaced sense of naive optimism that Doug loves him, even though Doug is calling him.
He's loyal. He's man's best
He's
friend.
loyal, yeah. And then along the way, he kind of like learns that Doug is actually, he's not playing a game with Reggie. He is dropping him off to abandon him. And so he resolves to go back to Doug, still not to return to his company, but to chew his member off.
To bite his dick off. Just say it. They say it a bunch in this movie.
To bite his penis off.
They say it because Doug's favorite toy is his penis, because he plays with it all the time. And Will Ferrell says, the way he plays with it, sometimes I wish I was a penis, which is just S-tier delivery on that line, I gotta say.
It was pretty good delivery on Will Ferrell's part. I'll give it to Will Ferrell for the delivery. This is a talking dog movie. That's the theme of the this episode. So option number B, I'll putt over to you, Jeff. Hooper scoop this thing up and tell us what it's all about.
Nice, man. Did you write that out ahead of time, or did you just come up with that?
No, I'm just creative like that. Shut up. Just introduce the movie.
Yeah, option number B is a movie. It's a hand-drawn, traditionally animated movie called Fixed by animation legend Genndy Tartakovsky, known for creating Dexter's Lab, for creating Samurai Jack, more recently for like the Hotel Transylvania kids who grew up watching those movies. He's got his name all over animation as a whole. And this is a project that he tried to get off the ground for a long time. he was like pitching it since like 2009, which is crazy to me. And if you watch the movie, it doesn't get any less crazy.
You understand why it took so long to get off the ground when you watch the movie, though.
Basically, it revolves around this dog Bull, who finds out that his family is going to neuter him. And he basically has 24 hours to cope with that before they take him to the vet and chop off his balls. So he resolves to have like a little bit of a Mardi Gras, and he also has like a girl next door thing going on with his neighbor Honey, who's played by Catherine Hahn. Bull himself is played by Adam Devine, who's doing like a Dana Snyder type of character. But he does a really good job. A lot of voice acting here. We've got Idris Elba as well. We've got Fred Armisen.
Yes.
We've got Beck Bennett playing a smug asshole. It's a colorful voice cast, that's for sure. And,
it's a colorful film.
It is a very colorful film, very vibrant. Really connotes Tartakovsky's his past work is very angular character designs, except that he's going hard R this time around because we do get dog balls on Bull.
We get dog balls and we get lots of anuses too. Lots of
we get little star anuses on the dogs,
puckered up.
And I think Tristan, why talk about these two movies in conversation with one another? What comes to mind when you think of these?
What could possibly come to mind? They're talking dog movies, obviously, that are like raunchy as hell, right? Mm-hmm. Don't laugh. It's not funny, all right?
These movies are anomalies, okay? I wrote in my notes that if you wanted to put them up against movies that are more of their ilk, you would put Strays up against Homeward Bound, which is what it gets compared to all the time. And you would put Fixed up against something like The Secret Life of Pets. So you have like the G-rated family flick that both of them are kind of satirizing. Up against pushed to the limit, Red Band, like do not bring your kids to these movies.
Yeah.
But what fun is that? Because when these two movies exist side by side, released like within 2 years of each other, it's like it kind of feels like we have an obligation as the hosts of the Hard Ticket podcast to cover them side by side. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. We're kind of doing like a public service. We're watching it, so you don't have to kind of thing.
Oh, shut up. Oh, you loved both of these movies.
Yeah. So both these movies are raunchy talking dog movies, but they also, as we've alluded to in our summaries, figure prominently around genital mutilation, which, Jeff, I feel like you are just dying to talk about.
I'm not dying to talk about genital mutilation. You're the one who usually brings up some sort of like genital or phallic symbolism in one of your hard ass pulls in these episodes.
My hard ticket hard ass pulls.
Go listen to Jawloween to learn how the shark Bruce in Jaws is actually a vagina.
It's not a vagina, dude. It's a vagina dentata. It's
the whole fear in Jaws is actually castration. It's what every man fears. Why talk about symbolism when you can just make it the crux of your movie?
When you can have a swinging pair of testicles hanging in front of the audience the entire time.
I think it's really interesting, too, the fact that both of these movies are basically, they're log lines. They're two log lines that were taken to the finish line. You have one where, and both of so...
Wait, can I ask real quick, what's a log line? Is that like when they tie you up to a log and they like put you on one of those like conveyor belts with a saw at the end?
No, silly.
Because that's what it feels like watching these.
No. So like it's like the elevator pitch, which like these people who made these movies, they got very used to pitching. So Dan Perelt, the screenwriter for Strays, he's probably best known for working on American Vandal, of which he's a co-creator. And he pitched this concept to producer Eric Fegg, where he was like, Fegg was interviewing him because he was a fan of American Vandal. And Fegg was like, what's your like magic wand concept? Like if you could make any movie in the world, what would it be? And Perelt was like, I'd make an R-rated talking dog movie. And Fegg was like, haha, that's funny. And he was like, no, seriously, I have the whole like plot like lined out.
Oh man.
And so he gives him the log line, which is like, there's a dog. He gets dropped off by his, piece of shit owner,
Yeah.
and then learns that he was a piece of shit the whole time and resolves to team up with like 3 other dogs on a homeward bound type journey so that he can bite his dick off. That was
Yeah.
that was always the premise for Strays.
That's great. I like that. I like that pitch.
Yeah.
I would greenlight the movie on the pitch.
And would you greenlight a movie where an animator comes up to you and says, I want to make a movie where a dog learns that in 24 hours he's going to be neutered?
Yes. Oh
Yes.
yeah, 100%. These premises are gold. They're gold, Jeff. It's the execution that I have problems with.
Really? Okay, so yeah, the concepts, I think, you hear them, you laugh. That's always the reaction thing.
Yeah,
And when you
yeah.
decide to take it to the finish line, you decide to make a movie out of them. Why do you think the execution is botched on these? What other movie could they possibly have made with these premises?
I don't know. It could have been funnier. You watch in comedy, it's so subjective. And we've talked about that before. It can be hard to talk about comedy films because if you really like the comedy, it can devolve into like, ooh, wasn't this joke funny? And you're just spitting lines back at each other. And if you really don't like comedy, it's sort of like not liking, I don't know, like air temperature. It's like you just say you don't like it and I'm going to move somewhere warmer or cooler, that's kind of how you feel when you're watching something like this, where it's like, you're right, maybe that it couldn't have been anything different, but maybe it could have been funnier.
So do you think they have a different style of humor? Or you think they're the same style of humor, just in 2 different formats? Is that kind of your gripe there?
No, I do think they do have a different style of humor. I mean, they're both raunchy, but that can encompass so many things. I mean, you look at something like Strays, and you're talking about like a homeward bound kind of like, it's a take on it. I don't know if I'd call it like almost like a satire, I guess, or a parody maybe. It's a take on it where it has a heart in the center of it, where it's very much about like, oh, now that I'm talking about it, it's like, well, there's kind of a heart at the center of Fixed, I guess.
There is a heart at the center of both. So both of them kind of like have a creative crew member who said they wanted to strike a similar balance to The 40-Year-Old Virgin. It was cited as an inspiration for kind of both of them, where you get that raunchy humor. But in case you've forgotten, if it's been a while since you've watched The 40-Year-Old Virgin, it does have that Judd Apatow kind of like, there's a heart at the end. He's not treated necessarily like a loser. He's earnest. There is a legitimate romance at the center. I think there's a legitimate romance at the center of Fixed.
Yeah.
And I think there's a genuine camaraderie shared amongst both packs of dogs in both of these movies.
Oh yeah. These are all about the pack and everything. I think an issue for me with something like Strays is that it is a live action. There's animated elements in Strays, obviously, because you can't get a dog to talk.
Right.
So they have to animate the mouths. There's a couple like CGI animated sequences where like one of the dogs, Bug, who is a
Boston Terrier.
A Boston Terrier. Jeff, you're a big fan of Boston Terriers. Bug is snatched by like a hawk at one point, and Reggie like grabs a hold of Bud, and they get tossed into the air. And so obviously that's all CGI because you can't train dogs and a hawk to do all that, or maybe you could, but you probably drop the dogs. Right. So there is like an animated element, but the it's photorealistic if you want to put a label on it. And it's hard for me. I love looking at dogs. I love dogs. But it's hard for me to like, it's hard to see them as like actors who are looking at each, because they're like looking past each other. Like their sight lines aren't matched. They're looking at each other for like an inordinate amount of time. Like a dog would never like dead eye another dog like that unless it wanted to fight it. But because you have to cast like these human emotions onto these dogs who are talking like people and kind of acting like people, it's like this weird uncanny valley for me, and I can't get over it.
Yeah, well, that comes along with just personifying them to the point where they're hanging out like buds, and talking instead of like sniffing each other or playing with each other.
Exactly. It's better when your movie's like outright infantile. It's like something like Cats and Dogs or whatever, because they're already acting like juvenile versions of they're like acting like cartoons. And Fixed is a cartoon, and I don't have the same issue with like the uncanny valley with Fixed, where it's all animated and the dogs can speak and move their mouths, and it looks consistent because it's all they're just doing whatever. You can have balls that are swinging in your face, these animated balls, testicles, if you will.
Right.
And it's just like that's just part of the style. And if you tried to do that with like photorealistic balls, it would be grotesque,
I think the whole thing about Strays is that Strays feels like it was a funny concept that they took and they ran with it, and it kind of felt ripe. Like Perelt, he's known for American Vandal, and I've never seen American Vandal, although I do have a special, like, it's been on my list for a while because a film critic I know, Tina Kakadelis, watched my short film Burnt Factory and praised it as the West Virginia American Vandal, and I was like, well, it's my obligation to watch that at this point. So when I was reading about Strays, and I saw that it shared the same screenwriter, also that it was produced by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who I love, as I think they're fantastic writers. I think they're really good directors. They've put their names on some shit as producers. I mean, I didn't see Cocaine Bear, but I didn't hear great things about it.
I did see it, and yeah, not great is an apt description.
Yeah, and Eric Fegg as well, like he's had his name on some... He was a producer on Wrong Turn, actually, back in 2003. And on the Borderlands movie that just came out last year.
God.
So in terms of movies that he's produced, I'd say my favorite of his is probably Cha Cha Real Smooth. Actually, that's a really good one.
That's a great one.
Yeah, maybe this one is second, or Theater Camp, one of those two. But then you have Josh Greenbaum, who's the director, and he loved the premise. He also is known for directing Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar, which I think is a really funny movie that doesn't get the attention that it deserves. And if you want the new Spaceballs movie to be good, you should root for him because he's directing that one.
Oh, Lord, help us.
But I think, when you hear that log line and you're like, we're going to do a talking dog movie in the vein of something like Homeward Bound, like, it's pretty simple. You get the dogs, you CG the mouths, like what, you're right. It's at its most boring when it's basically doing like a dog OTS, because that's not visually interesting at all.
No,
you need them to be like moving around and stuff like that. But the premise seems like, I don't want to call it one note because I do legitimately enjoy this movie. I do know, however, that my parents tried to watch it a year or two ago, and they said they couldn't get past all the jokes about humping that were like, I think probably pretty front loaded.
Yes. Well, isn't it funny, dude, that dogs hump things? Isn't that so funny?
But I think part of it is like this movie feels inevitable to me, or almost like, like the talking dog genre, especially if you look back at like the time when A Dog's Purpose came out. Yeah, like talking dog movies seem to be making a little bit of a comeback. Somebody like the American Vandal guy is going to be like, this is something that I think we're all familiar with. I think we can glean it for some comedy. And I think a lot of people saw it as pretty superfluous. It didn't make its budget back. It was not a profitable movie. But I still think it makes more sense that Strays exists as opposed to something like Fixed. I remember reading about Fixed for the first time. It was September 2023. I know that because I just watched the show Unicorn, Warriors Eternal, which is a Genndy Tartakovsky show. It has one season. I watched it on HBO Max. I watched it in September 2023, and I logged it on Letterboxd. And I remember reading a little bit more about Tartakovsky because Unicorn, Warriors Eternal, was a very strange show. All right, and Tartakovsky hyped this thing up. He was like, all of my training, like on Samurai Jack, on Dexter's Lab, all of the lessons I took from those shows, I put into Unicorn, Warriors Eternal. And then I watch it, and I like the first episode. And then it just becomes a lot of like contradictory ideas. One thing you need to know about Tartakovsky is that he's a huge fan of like those Fleischer cartoons, like the early Coco the Clown, Betty Boop kind of style. Like he was actually attached to direct a Popeye CGI movie that he released test footage for. It looked really fun. It looks like something in the vein of like Hotel Transylvania, except Tartakovsky actually wanted to make it. And then, unfortunately, that never went anywhere. And I was reading in 2023 that he was working on an R-rated dog sex comedy about a dog who learned that his balls were going to get chopped off. And I was like, that's never going to get made. That's going to be another on top of the unrealized projects of Tartakovsky's. You know, like he was attached to direct like a Dark Crystal sequel. He was talking about a Samurai Jack movie that languished in development hell for years. Even his show Symbionic Titan on Cartoon Network became a tax write-off. Like you can't legally watch that show anywhere. So like
he's like the Guillermo del Toro of animators.
I was going to say like the Terry Gilliam. Yeah. Yeah. It's exactly like that. So I was like, there's no way this movie is ever going to get made. Well, it turns out
you should have knocked on some wood, dude, because
well, it was done. He finished it in 2023.
Oh.
Like when I read about it, I was like, there's no way it's going to get made. Turns out it was already done, but they couldn't get it picked up because I don't know if Warner Brothers like funded it and they decided not to release it. And they were potentially going to write it off for taxes as well, like Batgirl. But Tartakovsky got a chance to pitch it around, and of course Netflix will take anything, so they took it and released it this year. So it was in limbo for most of 2024, and finally found a release.
Yeah, they unleashed it this year, I think would probably be the verbiage.
And people hate it.
Yeah, people do hate it. I was only like sort of peripherally aware of this movie because of like Letterboxd reviewers who were just like, this is like the worst thing of the year, next to the Ice Cube War of the Worlds that came out this summer.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have no interest in this because it just looks like one note. It looks like one joke, raunchy dog, sex comedy. There's balls. You see them, and there's buttholes too, and that's it. And I was like, I'm not interested, because I already know what that's going to be like. I watched the movie, and I was mostly right, but there's a little bit more to the movie, and the same with Strays too. There's more to these movies than I think meets the eye. Is that fair? I don't know, because like you're saying that you like these. You're saying
I do.
You like both of these movies. What is it? Do you just like dogs? Do you see dogs and your like brain goes into like hibernate mode and you're like dogs? Or like do you watch them and you're like, I'm engaged here. I'm engaged with this movie.
I was engaged with these movies. Yeah, I understand that I'm in the minority in this, but I think if somebody tells you that they like either of these movies, if someone says they like Strays, Tristan and I, we have this term. We call them Dallas movies.
You can't out him like that on here. For the people who've seen our Man of Begins episode, you'll know what we mean when we say a Dallas movie.
Our buddy Dallas, and I'm only saying this because when I was watching Strays, he texted me and said, "Are you watching Strays right now?" I'm not going to tell you guys how he knew that I was watching it, but this is a movie that he told us to watch for a while. But I think that if you like Strays, the fact that there are raunchy comedies that get made every single year is like, okay, that's fine. You like a movie that like has an audience versus Fixed, which I think is a little bit more of an anomaly. And if you say you like it, people don't know what to do with you. They don't know.
Explain yourself.
You revoke your cinephile card.
No. You just have to explain yourself. Yeah, like what is it about Fixed? Let's start with Fixed. What is it about this movie that you are enjoying? Because I know you're a big animation fan. So that
I am a huge animation fan. Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
And you know, if the biggest thing I've seen when people are defending themselves saying they like it is like it's an anomaly. It's an R-rated. Like there's not another movie like this, and I like it for that reason. To me, that's not like enough of a reason to like something.
Right.
It needs to, I don't know. It needs to hook you. And like, you know, I am an adult, and I still go back and I watch shows that I watched when I was younger, and I think that gives me some tolerance for some of the jokes that are aimed at a younger audience. And even though Fixed is hard R, it's still very raunchy, and I think a lot of those jokes are like, you know, they're not like for adults. I mean, if you have a dog or if you've engaged with dogs, Tristan, anytime I visit you in Pittsburgh, your dog, you know, like will grab onto my leg and do its thing. And, you know,
it's because of your pants, dude. It's because of those tight ass pants that you
I don't wear those pants every time I go up anyway. It's like if you're around dogs, you know, they'll latch onto you sometimes. Yeah, my therapist dog did that to me one time, and she was a girl, so I don't even know what was going on there. But yeah, like I think I have a lot more grace for like some of the subject material, And then I watched something like Fixed, which to me is like, okay, I read a little bit about like, while they were making this movie, while he was pitching it, while he was trying to get funding, he was even like, I'll concede to make it in CG. It doesn't matter. I just want the movie to get made. And then he made a 3D rendering of the character Bull. And he was like, there's no possible way we can make this as a CG cartoon, because then I think you're getting into that uncanny valley kind of thing that you were saying, Tristan. You got a little bit out of Strays, less so out of Fixed, because it's like, it's Tartakovsky's like really angular animations versus CGI, where like you have to render each like individual hair on the dog's balls. And it's like, I don't know. It's not, it goes to feeling like something else the more you take it out of that really animated reality.
Yeah.
And make it into something else entirely.
Why do you like that pathetic mutt?
Who, Bull? Oh, he's my next door neighbor. We've like known each other since we were on the teat. I don't know. I mean, how can you like Bull? Why would anyone like Bull? He's weird. He's awkward. He's like sweet and funny. He's like pudgy, but he's not like, I wouldn't say he's like fat pudgy.
Okay, I really don't care. Goodbye.
Chew on. Not that I want to chew on Bull. I'm not saying that, but he's like he looks like a grocery bag filled with potatoes. I mean, is that cute or sexy? No, I'm not saying that, but I guess if you like potatoes, it could be. But I like potatoes, but they're not for everybody. And I mean, I'm just a show dog, and he's a regular dog. Why would he ever like someone like me?
So to answer your question about like why I like these movies specifically, I think is because like when I have that tolerance for a lot of the juvenile behavior that's going on, I also I resonate with that with kind of that heart that you're saying both of these movies have.
Yeah.
That they are tapping into, that's kind of fueling the narrative. And Tartakovsky said that he based the dogs in Bull's pack kind of like off of his own friends. I love Idris Elba's I love his performance in this movie as like a mastiff who's like really serious.
Yeah.
Apparently Tartakovsky at one point was like even possibly going to voice like a Siberian Husky in the movie, but they were like overstuffing the narrative a little bit. And then you need that character Honey, who's like, they're like sex can be perverse, especially in the context of a comedy like this. But sex is also a very natural thing that like a majority of humans, like, they'll feel urges and impulses. And listen, kids, when a mom and a dad or two dads or two moms love each other very much, you got to have the talk eventually. So it's like, there's an earnestness that I think is important that Fixed incorporates. And there was even a moment in Strays where I was like, what if he learns that like, maybe you don't need to bite Doug's dick off in order to be happy with yourself. And then Doug starts swinging at him. So like, you're like, oh yeah, this guy's a bastard. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Doug deserves it 100%. No, I see what you're saying. There is an earnestness there. I feel like these are movies that would appeal more to like a teenager. Like if you can tap into your like teenage sense of humor, you're going to really enjoy them. Sex, man. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever seen like those like Far Side style cartoons where like the joke is sex. It's like boomer humor.
Yeah.
I told you a couple years ago about this like one joke where it was like Kermit the Frog is working at a deli counter and Fozzie Bear comes in and Kermit is selling like pork chops.
Right.
And Fozzie says, "You fight with the wife last night?" And Kermit's like, "Nope." Because he's
never
it's
again.
It's like the I hate my wife kind of like humor. But there's also like a side tangent of that where it's just like the joke is sex. Like there's this horrible, this grotesque. I'm gonna keep using that word because I feel like it's appropriate. This grotesque comic where it's like this chicken walking back into the hen house, and it has like a gaping cloaca, and then the farmer is like zipping up his pants, and it's like that was Farmer Jim's favorite chicken, and it's like that's the joke is just that he has sex with the chicken, and it's drawn on like the Far Side style comics. People can look this up if they want. I'm not going to talk about it anymore, but that's the I think that's like my one of my issues with this is like it just feels really one note. Like the humor feels one note, but then it has like an attempt at like an actual like emotional through line. And I was talking a little bit earlier about like the uncanny valley between like watching two like live action dogs like just look at each other and pretend like they're talking. I feel like there's an uncanny valley between trying to smush together like a really heartfelt story where it's like, okay, at the end of Fixed, the main character Bull pronounces his love to Honey, who's like a purebred dog. Bull that's his name, right? Bull.
It's Bull, yeah.
What happens is Honey is going to be bred with Brett Bennett's character. He's Sterling. He's another purebred dog, and as he mounts her, Bull gets in the way so that he has sex with Bull instead. And while he's being anally raped, he confesses his love to Honey, and it's really heartfelt and emotional. And he's getting raped while he's doing it, and then afterward they like get together and they have sex. Just the two of them. There's no like weird like rape going on, and I'm watching these two scenes like back to back. Does that work for you? Is this funny?
Do I think that's funny that like Bull is like taking the D for Honey in that moment? No, what I think is that like we've established kind of like, so the Fixed starts with Bull humping Nana's leg.
Yeah.
That's what he does. He's into Nana like that. But like none of the human characters in Fixed are characters. Humans are kind of a non-presence in Fixed. They're a little bit more of a presence in Strays, especially with the character Doug. But
yeah,
for the most part, like the urges and everything that Bull gets, and Bull is made to be like, you know, kind of Honey when they have their confessional moment. Bull, like, he reveals that, like, he's getting his testicles cut off, and Honey's like, I like you in spite of those things, of what those things turn you into. Not because you have them, I like you in spite of them.
Right.
Because the urges of a dog are not the urges of a human. And that's probably where a lot of that uncanny valley is coming from. Because these dogs are personified, they talk, they speak, they have relationships, they hang out. But they also have very dog-like urges in terms of sex. And that's a common thing in Strays, too, where they hump everything. You know, they hump couches. I think they hump
a lawn gnome.
Yeah.
Who Reggie says is his son.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, you know, to an animal, that kind of instinct doesn't carry the weight of like, you know, a human sexual relationship or like, you know, an actual rape scene that's meant to be horrific like it is in real life between two people. With like, you know, with Bull in that moment, no, it's not like a funny thing, but also like sex is just like such a non-important thing. In fact, it's kind of made out to be like, if it's not between, like these two characters that have something more than just like the attraction, more than just the urge to hump each other, like it's like nothing. And they even talk about, they're like, oh, Bull, did you hump Nana again? Yeah, you're one of those types of dogs. It's like, it's sex is just like such a non-presence.
Yeah, but there's the scene right beforehand where Bull is humping Molasses and Honey walks in on him sleeping with another dog, and she gets offended in the same way like a person would be offended by it. So again, you have like this conflation. This is so silly. This is such a silly discussion to be having. I feel here's the thing. You have this like a through line in both these films is like exploring like dogs are in this really weird middle ground where they are descended from the natural world, but they've also been tamed by people. So you have this weird like the uncanny valley, I guess, between the natural and the unnatural. So a dog, will have all these natural urges, but in order to curb those urges, we castrate our animals, and we, you know, which is like, I don't, you know, like if you looked at it like objectively, like that's really weird that we do that, right? Even though the film, I don't feel like takes like a negative approach to castration. It's like this is fine. Like you just accept who you are without your balls, and you're fine. It doesn't matter because it's just a reality for dogs. The film's not going to like advocate for not fixing.
Right, it's like
animals.
A circumcision type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just like one of those things that we do because, well, we don't want our dogs, and also we do it because we don't you know, like there's so many issues with like feral dogs and cats, and we don't want them running rampant and all that stuff. But another reason really is because we want to control our animals' urges to a certain extent, because we want to like infantilize them and treat them as like little babies. And these movies are all about the fact that these animals are not our little babies.
I mean, there's a reason why, you know, they call it like animal style and that kind of stuff. Like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's like, yeah, you're right about that. Like, it's so weird to me, especially because Strays has a Boston Terrier that is also voiced by Jamie Foxx. And there's a flashback in that movie where he's like, I used to have an owner. I used to play with this little girl, and she loved me. And you see a little girl playing with a Boston Terrier puppy, but it's Jamie Foxx narrating it, and it's like, I don't know. I always thought it was kind of weird that, like, I'm gonna bring up Garfield again, man, but like Lorenzo Music voices the original like animated Garfield, and then you get Bill Murray voicing him in like the live action movies, and it's like this is like a cat that's like supposed to be like cuddly and, you know, your friend, but he sounds like a middle-aged man. It's like, I don't know. It's yeah, it's a lot of what you're saying about that middle ground of domesticity.
Don't you think Honey might like you because of who you are inside and not because you have balls?
Now who's talking crazy? You know nothing about this fetch.
I've had enough.
I know you're scared, Bull, but you're kind of being an asshole.
What? Wait, where are you guys going?
You know what? It's just like all those other shitheads who think just because they got danglers between their legs, it makes them better than everyone else. Go yourself, bull.
Maybe we should talk about the fact that both these movies have a Great Dane with a cone around their heads.
There are some uncanny similarities, man.
Yeah.
Both of these have a Pound prison break sequence that is facilitated in Strays. It's poop. They all poop. And I love like one of the dogs is like, once this place gets all poopy, Willie comes in and bags it up like he's collecting it for something. There are a lot of like, you know, stray lines, you know, pun very much intended in Strays that just kind of caught me, and I was like,
oh yeah. And that guy, by the way, played by Brett Gelman. I don't know if you've ever seen Lemon. It's a pretty funny movie.
Yeah, and Fleabag as well. He just plays the same kind of like piece
asshole,
of crap. Yeah,
monotone. I also love the line. Just if we're throwing out stray lines real quick, there's like these teenagers who are gonna set off a firework, and it doesn't go off, and they just all look at each other, and the one guy's like, I don't know, you guys want to kiss a little? It's like three of them. They're just like gonna like kiss each other. I don't know, it's great. But then there's also a Pound breakout sequence in Fixed where they get out using urine.
Yes.
So you have urine and feces, hallmarks of being a pet owner. Yeah, great. And they're both like kind of Odyssey movies where you're going on like a journey and stuff. It's a journey of self-discovery and all that stuff.
I think, you know, there's a little through line in Strays. Well, in Fixed, they're all pissing, and Time to Say Goodbye is the song that plays over that, which is a song that Will Ferrell sings in Step Brothers, and of course Will Ferrell is the lead in Strays, so it all comes full circle. Yeah.
You also have a Sisyphus ant in Fixed, which ties back into the Gray Man. The gods, the curse.
They made him push a boulder up at the Did
he deserve it?
Probably. You're just gonna keep bringing that. Nobody remembers that movie. Not like us.
I just remember the Sisyphus line in The Gray Man. So.
That's our real nostalgia critic. We watched it, so
yeah, seriously, we forgot about it, so you don't have to even remember it.
Also, there's a little bit of like, I think part of the reason why Strays seems more comparatively palatable is that there's a little bit more of like a pop culture, like, you know, at the end of Strays, you know, the dogs hold Doug down. Doug goes like, okay, Doug is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Throughout this movie, but he crosses the line in the third act where Reggie finally makes it home, and he tells him off. Obviously, Doug can't understand him, but he's like, I don't need you anymore. And he walks towards the door. Doug shuts it, and he's like, what do I got to do to get rid of you for good? And he like picks up a baseball bat and he starts swinging. So he deserves it. Basically, he deserves getting his penis mutilated. If anybody does, animal abusers, yeah. But the dogs like come in, they rescue him, they hold him down, and Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus plays, and that's like, you know, there's a lot of those needle drops, like A-OK plays when walking on the train track in the woods. It's like a Stand By Me moment.
This is a hallmark of Dallas movies, I feel like. The on-the-nose needle drops. Is the best scene in both of these movies, is it the cat attack scene in the alley in Fixed, when all the cats are just like, meow. It's like hypnotizing, where they're just like, because that's how cats fight. They actually just like stand there and just meow at each other until finally one of them moves, and it's like this big brawl. And I love that scene because it felt like kind of surreal, and it tapped into like the stylism of like the animation and everything. And I like that scene.
Yeah, and I like Fixed for its stylism as well. I think they really like. I'm so glad this isn't a CGI movie.
Oh,
yeah,
like,
it just wouldn't work. It just really wouldn't work.
No, it would look terrible.
Yeah, if you were gonna have like if Fix was gonna be called like a holiday movie, you would watch it every year before Mardi Gras. That's the best time to do it, because it's like it really is just out on the town with your boys.
Yes.
Like living it up before you get castrated, which is ultimately the whole story.
It's sort of like because like that's like a bachelor party thing where it's like, oh yeah, the old ball and chain, you know. But in this case, he's losing his.
It's literally his balls, and I
yeah.
do want to say, I think you're just not going to get another movie where you visualize a dog getting neutered as chasing his balls in black and white as they speed off in a train, and he slowly falls behind as they get further away. You know.
No, you probably won't. Did you catch that one of the balls, the Napoleon ball, was played by Darren Norris?
Yes, I don't think that didn't get past me. Love Darren Norris. He's always every movie is better with Darren Norris. And if your hard ticket is Fixed for that sole reason, I can't blame you for it.
If you got to pick your celeb cameos, you get like Dennis Quaid in Strays or Darren Norris in Fixed, and I'm going with Darren Norris every time.
I think maybe Strays might feel slightly more, you know, like I keep calling it a little bit more palatable. I think it's a lot more comparable to a movie like Homeward Bound. Whereas like there are a lot of animated dog movies. So I grew up watching dog movies. I mean, I did. If you wanted to get me to sit down and watch a movie as a kid, you put on a movie with a dog in it. I watched Homeward Bound a lot. I watched the Cats and Dogs movie with Jeff Goldblum in it. There's a movie that I really liked called Good Boy, not the 2025 release. It was about a dog who's actually an alien who came from a galaxy or like a planet that orbited the dog star Sirius.
Wow.
Yeah, and so he like comes to Earth and like he starts talking to the, you know, it's a talking dog movie. You know exactly what you're watching. I watched Beverly Hills Chihuahua. I watched the Underdog movie with Peter Dinklage and Patrick Warburton.
Well, maybe that's what this is. You were primed from an early age, brainwashed, you might say. and me, I did watch Cats and Dogs as a kid. That was like that was like the only talking dog movie though I ever watched. I had that on VHS and I watched that religiously. It always confused me when Jeff Goldblum showed up because I still didn't understand that actors could be in different movies because I was also a Jurassic Park fan.
Yeah.
But no, I was never, I mean, I remember watching like Balto, I think, when I was young. Maybe some Lady and the Tramp. But
well, that's the thing. I feel like Strays is more one-to-one with that idea of the talking dog movie prevalent in a movie like Cats and Dogs.
Yeah.
Versus Fixed is with something like Lady and the Tramp. And there's even a scene where there's two dogs having sex that look like Lady and the Tramp. They say they're doing it human style because they're doing it in Missionary, which, you know, that is a joke that is in this movie.
Don't both these movies make that joke?
Do they both?
Style?
They probably do.
I feel actually. Like, yeah, it's a limited canvas you have to paint with when it comes to the dog movies. But both these movies, they do hit all the beats. Like you can't fault them for like missing the obvious jokes. Actually, you can fault them for hitting all the obvious jokes, probably.
Honestly, the only thing in the world that Doug maybe loves more than me is his favorite toy, his penis. He gives it haircuts. He watches TV with it.
Stop scaring, you're ruining it.
And the way he pets that thing, sometimes I wish I was a penis.
This is a tough one. This is going to be a tough one for you. What's another romance movie that could end with a love confessional like the one in Fixed? So it's the one that we already went through. The
somebody
lady.
is yeah. You don't need to. We established what it is.
Yes, the mechanics of it.
I think, you know, I've never seen this movie, but I think the premise lends itself to your question. It's Zach and Miri make a porno.
Oh, cool. See, that actually works.
Yeah, it's actually a movie about porn. So, like, you know, Seth Rogen could be in a scene, literally having sex with somebody else, while his love interest, I don't know who.
Elizabeth Banks.
Okay, yeah, I thought it was Elizabeth Banks. Yeah, and she's on the side, and he's like confessing his love, even though it wouldn't make logistical sense because they'd be like, we can't use any of this footage because you're talking in it or whatever. I don't know if they actually ADR porn or not. I don't think. I don't know.
That's somebody's job.
I don't
That's
care
somebody's
to
job.
know. Yeah, but I feel like it would work in a scenario like that. What do you think?
No, that actually works. I didn't think of like a plausible candidate. I was just like, what would be the funniest thing for this to be like taking place? And the first thing that came to mind was Pride and Prejudice. Just as Jane Austen intended, you have like Mr. Darcy, and he's taken one for the team while he's confessing his love to Keira Knightley. So I was like, that would just be so. That would be so fun. Like the whole movie's the exact same, but there's that scene at the end. And it's like, did I imagine that, or like what's in my popcorn? that's a little weird. All right, Jeff. Next question.
Yeah. Okay. So my first question is there another traditionally kid-friendly or kid-targeted movie genre that you think would make an interesting R-rated story?
I was having some trouble with this one. And it's a little bit of a cop-out, but I do think like you could go like the children's educational television route, where you have like a Barney or like a Teletubbies or Dora kind of thing. Blue's Clues. I feel like Steve is ripe for parody. I would want to see something like that. Although you're talking about like a story, like an overarching story. Obviously, these things are like 30-minute episodes. But...
Well, you know, that sounds a lot like the premise for the show Kidding with Jim Carrey. They came out towards, I think, like the end of the 2010s, where he plays like a Mr. Rogers type character whose life kind of falls apart outside the show.
Yeah.
I think the first episode is like he wants to make a show about like death, like an episode about death to teach kids about death. I didn't watch it. I heard it was pretty good, but kind of sounds like what you're getting at there.
Sounds like it. Do you have an idea for that?
Yeah, I do have an idea a little bit. And, you know, I've pitched my Christian movie satire thing before. I'm not going to go down that route again. I think what could be a lot of fun is if you have like a really squeaky clean high school Disney teen rom-com movie. And, you know, the first act plays out just like anyone. It's like a little bit surreal. It's a little bit, maybe a little bit Ned's Declassified, where you get characters who are like really exaggerated.
Yeah.
And then you have like a character who like maybe they do the bet thing, like in 10 Things I Hate About You. It's like, you know, I bet you, like I dare you to go out with that girl, and she's like a girl who's like kind of like one of the burnouts. She doesn't have a great home life, and like the main character like hooks up with her, but like actually hooks up with her. Like there's no like curtains wafting or anything like that. There's a really realistic, awkward sex scene between the two of them, and it's like, it feels like the most real thing that's ever happened to him, because like he goes back to his squeaky clean Disneyfied reality after that, and it's just like, but that felt so real. Like, what am I missing? What is going on?
Yeah, he goes back to like Darren Norris as the janitor chasing a weasel, and he's just like, "What is actual sex?"
Yeah, it's like that, and he like slowly becomes like more obsessed with this girl, and he like, you know, well, it's, you know, it's a teen sex thing, so sex gets kind of like inflated, gets inflated in his mind. After he's had it once, he's like,
it's like a Hitchcock thing. He becomes like obsessed. And
he's chasing that high. Yeah, but like contrast that with like the very real thing of like developing like a sex addiction against like a cookie character who's like, they gave me a locker on the other side of the universe, like that kind of thing, which is just like, talk about your uncanny valley. I love the dichotomous stories like this. I mean, I really do. I love when you put two extremes side by side. Stories like that, they really get me going.
I like that. I do think less is more when it comes to that sort of thing, but I would totally watch that and would have a blast with that. So like, there's like a big glaring thing. We talk about the talking dog movie. Where are all the talking cat movies? Like what happened there? Can you pitch a raunchy cat movie to me?
And, you know, I didn't grow up with cats like I did dogs. So like my first thought was, I think the stereotype, it's like they have like a like a hairball hacking contest or something like that, where they like try to hack up the biggest hairball. I don't know, but then like you think about cats and it's like buttholes are the thing. You know, cats like they always walk with their tails up and their butthole very pronounced, which is something that happens in Fixed. So do something with that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. There's
like, your log line. Buttholes.
It's like the butthole cut of the Cats movie.
Oh,
yeah.
I guess we do have one of these. It's called Cats.
We do. So okay, I'll say this. I think that there's a lot of like dogs in the public eye. I think in terms of like pop culture cats, like Garfield kind of dominates, right? I mean, so like
maybe a raunchy Garfield movie. Do you think?
Well, no, I think. Well, I mean, I think a raunchy Garfield movie could work for sure.
I think we're overdue the Garfield horror, because there was like that trend of like the John feed me, like where he's like a grotesque monster and stuff, and he's like trying to hunt John through the house. I feel like you tap it, because like if you're gonna tap into, okay, what's the weird thing about dogs? Well, they're horny and they're boisterous. What's the weird thing about cats? They're kind of creepy. Yeah, they're kind of scary. You feel like they would eat you as soon as you died. Like they wouldn't wait very long. So I feel like you tap into that with the cats thing. And so instead of doing a raunchy cat movie, you do like a cat horror movie. It would just be like Roar, but with house cats.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I like it. Okay, I'm moving on to my second question. Which pack of dogs from either of these movies are you rolling with?
I'm going with Fixed. I'm going with the Fixed pack because they seem it's like boys' night out. Night on the town. Let's do it. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah, that's good. I think we should say that both of these movies have friends that like really come in clutch at a certain moment. Like, there's sort of like that like mandatory third act falling out in Strays between Bug and Reggie and the other two in the pack.
Hunter,
Randall Park, and Isla Fisher. They go with them.
Yeah.
But then they all come back at just the right moment. Where in Fixed, like Bull runs away when he learns that his balls are going to get cut off, and his friends, like, they track him down, even though he trashed the status of balllessness like earlier. Like the last thing he says to them is like, "I'm nothing without my balls," and basically, you guys are too without yours. And they like all of Bull's friends have been castrated already. They're like
they've been neutered.
Yeah, they've been neutered. But even though like he kind of brushes them off for that. Like they forgive him, and they know that he's just, they've been in his shoes before, that he's acting out of fear. He's just lashing out. I think I would choose them too, because they prove to be very, very forgiving, merciful, and still they're the boys.
Oh yeah. You have a good time with them, chasing hot dog carts and stuff. All right. If you were forced to hear in your head your dog's unending carnal thoughts about humping your extremities, what would you do?
This is why when I get a dog, I want a girl. I want a little girl.
But you said your therapist dog humped you, right? And she's a
she
girl.
did hump me. Yeah, she did.
You can't outrun it, dude.
I feel like female dogs have a more adjustable temperament. I think the boys are more often the problem dogs, especially when they're younger. Although, my family dog, Bonnie, she's 11 years old. She's a Boston. She's not like other Bostons. She's mean. she's just mean. If I had to hear your dog's unending carnal, it's kind of just like, it's almost like anything, like with your dog, when it's making noise, like it's barking at somebody, you're just like, what are you going to do? Spray it with like a bottle?
You just hear your dog just like hump Jeff's leg, and you're just like, whatever. You just turn up the volume on the television.
Yeah. I think that's the only thing to do in that scenario. I don't know.
I would become a fish person, I think. I would.
You're an aquarium person anyway. I don't know if you care about the fish themselves, but you like the tanks.
I love the fish. What are you talking about? I had a funeral for my beta when he died. I played taps on my harmonica.
Anyway, question number 3 from me. Which dog in either of these two movies would you want as a pet?
Yeah, like it's such a hard choice. I kind of like Bug. I kind of do like Bug, and he was cute. He's a cute little Boston Terrier, and I felt like he's scrappy in all the right ways. So I think I would have Bug. I liked him.
Yeah, I think. Well, I love the Bostons, so I was kind of leaning towards Bug. Yeah, that little flashback where he's playing with the girl, that's like, I felt something there, man. I
Oh
really
yeah,
did.
yeah, that's true. Okay, is there room for a dog movie to broach the art house or avant-garde?
Is there room for a dog movie to approach the art house or avant-garde? I was thinking about this a little bit, and it kind of goes off what you were saying about like the horror, like doing a cat
Ooh.
horror movie thing. So
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
this movie called Felidae. I don't know how to pronounce it exactly. It's a German adult animated movie. It came out in the 90s, and it's about a cat. Like it's 2D animated. It's about a cat who's like a detective, kind of. And it's xenofiction, which is the whole genre of basically like talking animal, essentially. And I do think there's room for movies to take on more mature stories. A question I thought about asking you was like, if there's going to be an R-rated talking dog movie, but it's not going to be a comedy, like
Yeah.
which direction is it going to go in? And I think that about like, I think that despite the fact that this genre is kind of pigeonholed, I don't think it needs to be.
No, not necessarily.
One of the reasons I really dislike the show Velma that came out a few years ago with Mindy Kaling is because, one, it's just awful. It's not funny. And it kind of like holds animosity towards Scooby-Doo, which is what it's based off of. But two, like I grew up with Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo is like one of my champion fictional dogs. I got a handful of them. Scooby-Doo is like, he's like one or two. And it's because Scooby-Doo has been around for so long, since 1969, I feel like there is room to do a more mature Scooby-Doo story that doesn't betray really the essence of the show. I feel like, you sometimes get series or franchises that grow up with their audience. Scooby-Doo has mostly maintained like its demographic towards younger audiences. Well, Velma is like, it's like TVMA,
Yeah.
And because it's so bad, I'm just afraid that it destroyed the possibility that we were going to get like a Scooby-Doo.
Like a mature Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, mature Scooby-Doo. It like pushed it back like a decade. Whereas like we came so close with Zombie Island when that kind of revived the franchise.
Yeah.
So we'll take what we can get. But I do think there's room for it. I think there's room for the avant-garde. I think there really is. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, we just had a Good Boy come out, and it's like a dog horror film where the dog is like the main character. I thought it had a lot of issues. I was really looking forward to it, but it wasn't. It ended up being kind of boring, a little tedious to sit through. But I really liked the performance from the dog, Indy. So I mean, I think it can be done. There is Stan Brackage's Dog Star Band from like the '60s, which is like an experimental film about this guy like venturing into the woods with his dog. That's kind of dog adjacent. I'm thinking more like talking dog avant-garde.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah.
So I think there's something there. I would be interested to kind of see someone explore it, really get into it. I just feel like it's like almost inherently comedic though, like the talking dog. That is just, it's funny.
It is funny. Yeah,
Unless the dog had like a scary voice.
like Alpha and Up,
or if it had like Black Phillip in The Witch. It's like a dog like talking like.
Right, he's like literally Satan. Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
scary.
That would be kind of like he's a hellhound. There you go.
My next question is, what happens if you made Strays in hand-drawn animation, and what about fixed with real or at least photorealistic dogs? What happens if you change the medium?
I think changing the medium, and I think like, yeah, you make Strays a cartoon, and suddenly a lot of like the Uncanny Valley, like the visuals, I'm not having issues with as much, because you can have, and you could even show like Doug getting his dick bit off. You can show it graphically instead of just like it's getting bitten off through his pants, like like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whereas like with fixed, you definitely can't have like the swinging testicle scenes. Like it, I mean, you can, but like it's gonna be really gross, and you're like you said, you're gonna have to animate every follicle on that scrotum, and it's just like why, like it's just awful. Like you really have to change the sensibilities of these films if you switch the media.
Yeah, I just don't think they work. I think the like a lot of the appeal of Strays, because they do get into like there's almost like adventure tropes prevalent. they kind of go away. Although, there's plenty of animated animal adventure movies. Like you got your like Oliver and Company is a little bit like that. Point to any Disney movie, The Rescuers, stuff like that. That's like, yeah, you can have that, but you don't get like the one-to-one comparisons with like a Homeward Bound when you're doing that. And I don't know, the fact that human, or at least Doug, is still like kind of prevalent in the narrative of Strays versus like there's not a single human character that matters in Fixed. Like there's no reason to do it outside of animation, and there's certainly no reason to do it in any other animation style than Tartakovsky's.
Yeah, I agree. Jeff, if you were a dog, what type of dog would you be?
Well, somebody had to ask it, I suppose. Dude, I swear we had this question before, right? Didn't we?
I don't know. I'll tell you this. I'm getting flashbacks from our Lilo and Stitch and How to Train Your Dragon episode. We talked a little bit about like in that episode how we felt like the dragon was like a cat, and
right?
how
Yeah.
Stitch was like a dog, and we were like, is this a dog versus cat kind of movie comparison? And which you prefer kind of comes down to, are you a dog person or a cat person? Which I feel like I'm more of a cat person, but I preferred Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, we inverted that expectation.
Yes, we did. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we talked about it in that episode. If we did, I don't remember your answer.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I think what I'm thinking was probably like what elements we thought were taken. Yeah, it was probably that for each character. If I was a dog, I don't know. I feel like maybe I'd be. I mean, I think the obvious answer is like, like a mutt. Like it'd be a mix. You take whatever aspects of your personality are associated with a specific breed and you put them together into one mix. But that's not interesting. So I'm going to say a yellow lab.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. You're almost like,
because I'm blonde.
You're almost like a golden retriever boyfriend kind of thing.
Yeah,
a little more aggressive.
Yeah. That's okay. Sure. You're kind of projecting onto me a little bit there. I think.
I would be a beagle.
You'd be a beagle?
I think I'd be a beagle, like kind of small but sweet and soft and lovable, I think.
I could see that. I could see you as a beagle.
Yeah, I
sure.
think I'm a little bit of a beagle. That's what my girlfriend told me anyway. So
yeah, Harley has to be right.
Yeah, she has to be.
My last question here is, what is the best talking dog movie? The ultimate example, the genre's magnum opus.
Can you imagine if I picked one of these two movies? Like I was just like, oh, it's Strays, obviously.
I don't know. Wouldn't pick that.
Like I feel like it has to be like an animated dog movie. It has to be like one of the classics or something like 101 Dalmatians or not Beauty and the Beast. What the hell?
Lady and the Tramp.
Lady and the Tramp. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not really like a Disney kid either. I'm out of my depth in this episode. I have to say, you are famous for the entire history of Dogtown. That's like
I don't think I'm famous at all.
You're like famous for that movie. Like people know your name far and wide because of the entire history of Dogtown, where you love dogs and you love animation. Like this is like tailor made for you, and you love genital mutilation too. So it's like. And for me, we've established,
man, you're the genital mutilation. And you know what? Hey,
yeah,
you're throwing me a bone, letting us do this episode. Pick whatever you want. Take what you want from the trolley. It's your turn after this.
Anything from the trolley, dear. Can I say best in show? It's not a talking dog movie, but all of the owners reflect their dogs' personalities, so they speak through their dogs. I feel like. Is that fair? Can I say best in show for this category?
I'm gonna let you have it just because you're out of your depth here. I do think the original Homeward Bound is like a classic, directed by Dwayne Dunham, who was an editor on Twin Peaks. So he's got that taste of the eclectic.
Yeah,
I know.
Lynchian.
Yeah, he's a Lynchian director. There was a movie I really liked when I was younger. Well, there's a movie that kind of scarred me because it was legitimately emotional that I watched when I was younger. It's called My Dog Skip. I haven't had the balls to go back and watch it since it came out. That movie cut my balls off. So I couldn't say for sure. I do love plenty of talking dog animated movies like All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed.
I do legitimately. That's a guilty pleasure of mine. I will say, though, I think there's a movie I do think stands out, and it's Isle of Dogs. And I think the only reason I would hesitate to call it like the pinnacle of the genre is because like it's not really a movie I could see like kids growing up with, which I feel like is something that dog movies a lot of the time like are kind of there for.
That's true. Which is doubly appropriate that I picked a movie that I just watched this year because I'm so not in touch with my inner child right now.
Yeah.
No, that's good. I like. Does Babe count? Can I pick Babe?
There is a talking dog in Babe.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, I love Babe. I watched Babe for the first time like 4 years ago. We were living with each other.
Yeah, you cried, right?
I was bawling the entire time in secret because I was watching it with our friend Hyatt. I think it was just me and him, and I was like on the couch, like I was hiding my tears watching Babe because it was such a tender, sweet movie. Yeah. Maybe it's Babe. Well, Wolf, we've reached the end of the episode, and now we're in the doghouse.
Okay. Before we decide, can you tell me, did you really not enjoy either of these movies legitimately?
Okay, listen, you know me to be a person who appreciates some shit. Like I love superhero movie. That's a movie that I really enjoy, even though it's really dumb and raunchy and just irreverent and stuff. So there were parts in these movies that I really did appreciate, that I liked, that I thought were funny. Would I go back and rewatch these ever again? Hell no.
But you have to pick one.
But I do have to pick one. But first, Jeff, I'd like to know where your hard ticket is going to, as is customary on our show, Hard Ticket.
My hard ticket is going to go to Fixed. Which was probably a little bit more predictable. Although I will say I legitimately enjoyed both of these movies, and after I watched them both the same night. Double
whammy.
And afterwards, I was like, I legitimately had to think about it. But that was a few days ago. Fixed has sat with me better. It's clearly a movie that's like about the form. It was 15 years in the making, and it's of course an oddity in the sense that it was like traditionally animated, hard R raunchy. Strays is a similar oddity, but it feels a little bit more superfluous.
It's reined in a little bit more. It's leashed.
Yeah. It's more like a let's tackle this genre that's been used to assuage children for decades, but throw in some F-bombs and sex joke. It does have a heart. It's riffing, I think, a lot more directly on like a Homeward Bound than Fixed. You could say it's riffing more directly on like Lady and the Tramp. But I do think it's a little harder to put in a box, and it like beyond the form, I do kind of resonate with it a little bit in like the sense that these are both kind of movies about camaraderie. And I think that like Fixed has some character relationships that I enjoy. And that's kind of a little bit more what I was getting at with like the presence of like, you know, some pop culture needle drops in Strays. I think it relies a little bit more of leaning into the pop culture than Strays, which tries to do a little bit more character-based humor. So ultimately, I got to give it to Fixed, and I got to give it to my guy Tartakovsky.
Yeah, I got to go with Fixed too. It's not that it's an easy choice, although I think, you know, after I watched both these films, it became pretty obvious to me which one I preferred. I kind of had a feeling I would prefer Fixed anyways because I just appreciate a more experimental approach to it. And I also feel like you just don't get as much uncanniness when it's animated. It feels just more right. I like that it's sort of a throwback animation style, like kind of reminds me of like Looney Tunes a little bit. And I think I like the central story a little bit more, where it's just like you have to learn to accept yourself. And I like that it leads to a perverse conclusion compared to like the attempt at catharsis at the end of Strays, which it is cathartic to see Doug get his dick ripped off and his house caught on fire and everything. But it's fleeting. It's a fleeting catharsis. I don't really care that much about Doug because he's gone for so much of the movie, so it doesn't really matter. And he didn't need to come back to him anyway. So it ends up being like a revenge flick, and I'm just a little less interested in that, I think. So yeah, Fix gets it. Controversial choice because everybody hates this movie. This is gonna rank at like a couple of like bottom top 10 lists for the end of the year. I
don't think that's fair. I understand that this movie doesn't resonate with some people, but like I do think it is unfairly hated. I think it's just easy. I think it's just an easy target for a lot of people.
I think it's easy because it's just like if you don't click with the sense of humor, then you can just write it off. But I agree that I don't think it's like a bottom 10 of the year. It has been kind of a rough year in my opinion. But I can think of like a couple, like I can think of half a dozen movies right off the bat that are worse than this movie that deserve to be ranked lower. And I think there was care and time put into this. Should they have done it? Should they?
When you log these movies on Letterboxd, what are you gonna rate them?
I don't know. I've genuinely like wondered about it. I'm probably gonna give like 1.5 stars to Strays, and I might give 2.5 or 2 stars with a heart to Fixed. Yeah.
Oh, now that is a thing of beauty.
I kind of enjoyed Fixed a little bit. It was funny though. I got done watching it and I looked over at my girlfriend and I said, "Well, that sucked."
Is that the one that you texted me afterwards and you said, "Well, that was a movie"?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I sent you like the screenshots of the dogs and everything. Yeah. Oh yeah, my dog and my cat enjoyed watching these movies, by the way. Especially Strays. They loved Strays, like seeing all the animals on screen.
Yeah, you get a little bit more, I think, direct representation for their kind in Strays.
Yeah. These are movies for the Namols.
Well, that's going to do it for us here on Hard Ticket. I'm so happy to be back to Formula this week. Tristan, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing this for me.
Never again.
You can follow us on social media at Hard Ticket Pod, all lowercase, all one word. We're on Instagram, and we're kind of on Blue Sky, but I have yet to do anything with that. You can follow me on Letterboxd at Jeff Blogus, all lowercase, all one word. Tristan.
Yeah, follow me on Letterboxd at Tristan M. Or you can also follow me on Instagram at Tristan_less. You can also email Hardticket, hardticketpodcast@gmail.com. That's our email address. Send us requests, send us hate mail, whatever. If you want to be a guest, we love having guests on and everything. Send us an email. We love hearing from you.
Yes, yeah, we will be having a guest on next week, hopefully. Thank you, Jared Tadlock, for designing our brand elements, keeping our podcast looking fresh. Thank you, Aaron Griffin, for mixing and mastering our theme song, sung by yours truly in a truly awful falsetto. Next week, we're going to be hitting some more classics, as we did this week. We're going to be talking about Risky Business in conversation with Ferris Bueller's Day Off, so you don't want to miss that. But until then, thanks for listening, and we will see you guys at the movies.